Yeah, hello and welcome to this video, which reaches another game from the 45 League on Lichess. I'm not going to pronounce those names correctly. Skillet I can do, but endrawes0 are the players. And we have a Sicilian defense where white goes for c3, the Alpine variation. Yeah, c3 is one of the better sidelines against the Sicilian. There are some that are not all that great, like f4 or let's say the Grand Prix attack. Not a huge fan of those, but c3 is a completely respectable system that you can play up to a pretty high level if you enjoy the positions. Certainly recommended. White's idea, of course, is to play d4 for full center, which is also why the most popular responses involve a direct attack against the pawn, so that the easy d4 is not so possible. Like this, for example, white has to react first. Or in this game, d5 was played, after which white more or less has to take. Yeah, black's queen gets in the center quite quickly, but that's not a huge issue, as knight c3 is not possible. Whenever this c3 or c6 move has been played, putting the queen on d4 or here d5 gets a bit more interesting. It's also important to note that black, in many cases, after d4, which is the main move, does not want to take on d4 quickly, as this gives white the knight to c3. In the game here, white played the move knight f3. This is perfectly reasonable as long as you continue with a quick d4. However, after knight c6, the white player did not go for d4, which is, well, the only move is strong. Maybe yeah, something like knight a3 is also quite okay, but d4 is the most logical move. Put this pawn in the center. Yeah, here we can get this rather common IQP position where white has an isolated queen pawn. This could happen, for example, after something like knight f6, let's say bishop e3, e6, bishop d3, and something like that is a normal way how this opening can turn. White has an isolated queen pawn, the IQP, but very good active development. So d4 is the normal situation. Of course, there are some other opportunities. Black can go here, for example, or yeah, choose something else altogether with the g6 based setup. Sorry for the didn't mean to paint that. Let me unpaint, please. What's going on here? I'm sorry for that. What the heck? Okay, now it's also gone. Yeah, sorry. I mean, d4 is what white should play, but bishop b5 was played instead. Yeah, this is not such a great move. This bishop does never really want to take on c6, as it would give up the bishop pair and weaken the light squares considerably. And if you don't want to take on c6, it's quite unclear what this bishop is actually doing, what the purpose of the move is. Okay, you pin, but black is not irritated by that so much. In fact, he has a counter pin with bishop g4, after which white already felt compelled to return with the bishop on e2. And this definitely shows that bishop b5, now followed up with bishop e2, wasn't such a great idea. I mean, bishop e2 was not necessary. White also could have played played a move like castles or so, but definitely even something like that, you probably would rather like to have black. White's structure is damaged quite a bit. Yeah, so bishop e2 was played, basically admitting that this opening didn't work out so well. Knight f6, and now castles was played. Here I would again recommend to play d4. We can also insert h3 and then d4, but it's just about, you need to put some pawn in the center. This is a theoretical variation, a full move down, which is not great, of course, but still, I'd rather have this, for example, a line like this should still be roughly equal. White's pieces are active, and it's not so easy for black to do something direct against the pawn. Something like, this can also be tried. Bishop here, and so on. The IQP, of course, is a static weakness, but as long as you have many minor pieces on the board and are active, it's not just a big deal. I would definitely prefer to have this tempo down position with d4 compared to the game where white went castles and black made the right decision with e5. And now black is on that d4 square, a million times, and it's not easy for white to play d4 now anymore. If he does, e4 is just better for black. Well, so what did he do after e5? He played the move h3, attacking the bishop, which now traded itself. That makes sense. Just gain time. This and e4. That's the time gainer. Rook e1, utilizing the pin on the e-file. So black has gained lots of space and some time with bishop f3. Here it was his turn to move, and I think he missed an opportunity here to get an even bigger advantage compared to what he got in the game. So here I think long castles is a good move. Just castle away from the e-file, and with the long castling there's already big pressure. So here it will be difficult for white to get d3 in the first place. Here black has a nice choice. He can play bishop e7, but he can also play bishop d6. And here an idea like queen e5 or bishop c7, queen d6 can lead to a dangerous attack on white's king. White's development is not great. He's got 3 pieces still at home. I think long castles was a better choice compared to the game. Bishop e7 was not bad, but I think long castles was a bit more powerful. Here, white, after bishop e2, I think threatens to play d3, just to get the bishop out finally. And black did not react to that idea, strangely enough. He could have played rook d8, after which there is pressure on the d-pawn, and the move d3 is not possible so easily. I think I prefer that over castles. After castles, now white had an opportunity to equalize the game again by playing pawn to d3. Surprisingly, he did not play this move. After d3, I think white can be quite happy. He's behind in development, but it's tough to see anything else now for black than to take. And if you look at this kind of position, here white is definitely okay. You can even argue that white might have the slightly better chances long term with the 2 bishops. However, black's mobilization is pretty good, so white is not substantially better, but definitely okay. In the game, he did not play that. He played b3, and this is really quite a big mistake. d3 was absolutely mandatory. Get the bishop into the game. Now after b3, he might have bishop b2, but that's very slow, and you still have to worry about the pawn, which is on the half-open file and constantly under pressure. Yeah, rook e8 was played. Again, rook d8 was a good alternative, but rook e8 is also fine. Bishop b2. Yeah, again, probably white should play d3, even though it is clearly less effective than it was before, because b3 is a bit of a non-move, doesn't really help at all. Still better than the game. After bishop b2, rook d8, now there is enough pressure here on the d file so that again the d pawn cannot move, and black is yeah, just enjoying himself quite a bit here, I think. We had queen to c2, and now queen g5. That's a good move. Another good move was bishop b6, intending queen to e5. This is given us even stronger by the engine, but queen g5 is already very good. It has a very nice point that it looks at the d2 pawn, so further development by white is difficult to play, as d2 has to be taken care of, and there are clear attacking chances based on the bishop move and maybe queen to f4, or just bring stuff like to e5, knight e5, or maybe to f4. Very aggressive queen position. Yeah, bishop b5 was played. I think it's already somewhat beyond repair. Bishop b5 might not be the best move, but it is definitely hard to improve on it. Yeah, now the black player plays the rest of the game very nicely. Started with knight to e5, simply ignoring that this rook is hanging. That's a very strong move. White cannot take, as
check. Check.
This here is a fantastic fork combination, yeah, where
Check.
black basically wins all heavy pieces. It's really funny, yeah? The knight. We check this.
Check. Check.
First heavy piece, second, and the third is unavoidable, with black completely winning. So this was a nice move, knight e5. How should white react? It is again already beyond repair. Relatively best seems to be something like rook e3, but black's attack is extremely strong after that as well. And you can play, yeah, the computer wants to do this. Just activate the queen. Look at the important pawn here. In the game, king f1 was played. And now queen to f4. It's a very strong move. It has two ideas. One could be to get into d3, potentially f2. The second one is just to invade, yeah, via h2. At the end, bishop takes e8 was played. Yeah, just grab the rook. But that now leads to a situation where mate is pretty much unavoidable. Knight d3, threatening mate. And yeah, the only way to defend it without just giving up the queen is rook e2. Threatening mate. Thus rook e2, rook e3.
Check.
Check.
Checkmate.
And check. Alternatively,
checkmate.
That was the other mate. Yeah, so a quick win here for the black player. How did that happen? First of all, he played this very nicely, very energetically, which made it a quick victory. Black also could have played in a much lamer way and just grind something, but this is just good. Yeah, go into the attack. The main issue here was that white, it seems, wasn't aware of the general strategy here, that a d4 push is part of it. He played bishop b5 and now lost move, lost time, and black quickly grabbed the center. And the black queen here is an active piece. It's an asset because it cannot be attacked by knight to c3. That's where the pawn is. Still, this position here wasn't all that terrible for white if he plays it correctly with d3 instead of h3, or especially here d3 would have given white is still a decent position. Yeah, in fact, this, as we had seen, is pretty much nothing. You could argue that if anybody here, white is better. He is behind in development, but he has a good bishop pair, and well, this is also not particularly great. Yeah, looking at this pawn the whole time. So white had one or two opportunities to come back, but once he didn't take them and black got this full centralization going on, the whole situation became pretty hopeless for white. Yeah, you should really play, like in the opening here, play with d4. Don't be afraid of an isolated pawn. This is not such a big deal. Developing quickly and more actively with the center in mind is the way to go. Yeah, thanks for watching this video. Bye bye.